Hello and welcome to From Impossible to Inevitable. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me today and pushing play on today's episode. This is episode 178, and today I am so excited to chat about transformational habits. I have been chatting about this for a while, but I feel like I haven't really simplified it down. I've gotten into all of the nuances, all of the the method and everything, but I haven't really simplified it down. And I needed to do that. I need to do that. I want to do that. I want to simplify this down. So, here's what a transformational habit is. This is a really great example, and I think it'll be really tactile. I think it'll be really powerful to show you what I'm talking about here. What is she even talking about? Transformational habit. What in the world? Okay, so say you want to be a bodybuilder. This is the goal. You want to be an award-winning bodybuilder. You want to win awards, whatever it is that bodybuilders win. You have to know things. You have to know how to count macros. You have to know how to work out. You have to know what to work out. You have to know how to feed yourself properly. You have to know so many things that I don't even know about bodybuilding. You have to know all of these things. The knowing is not enough, though. Just knowing all of this stuff isn't going to make you a bodybuilder, let alone an award-winning bodybuilder. But you have to know those things. It's not optional because then you have to do something with that knowledge. Because the becoming happens through the doing. That's how it works. You have to do the thing in order to become the person. What the transformational habit is the establishment of a habit that makes it so that you become that person naturally, inevitably, as a byproduct of the habit. So if you wanted to be a bodybuilder, you could install the habit of going to the gym first thing every morning. So as you go to the gym first thing every morning, you are actively becoming that bodybuilder. You are becoming that person because that is what that kind of person would do. So this habit serves as a bridge from who you have been to who you are becoming. And every time you engage in this habit, you are crossing this bridge to who you are becoming. And when you do this first thing in the morning, you've crossed that bridge first thing in the morning, and then your choices throughout the day are impacted by that crossing. So I said I was going to say it simply and then I made it complicated. Okay, so you've stepped into being this version of yourself simply by engaging in your habit of going to the gym that morning. So you have stepped into being this version of yourself. Now you have the rest of the day to make decisions as that version of yourself. Of course, you're not going to get it perfect, especially when you're just starting, but it will be easier to eat well when you've already stepped into being that person. It will be easier to avoid the junk food when you've already stepped into being that person. And when you start this bridge, it might feel like it's real big. You've got this big bridge between this person who you have been and the person that you want to be. But as you are consistent in your daily crossing of this bridge, as you are consistent in the continual daily decisions that you make, as that person, this bridge will get shorter and shorter and shorter until you find that maybe you haven't won any awards yet, but maybe you're a bodybuilder. Maybe you've started entering competitions. Maybe you've started to do the things that award-winning bodybuilders would do because you have crossed this bridge, because you've made decisions from the place of being this person, this version of yourself. So the idea of the transformational habit is it's this habit that you pick intentionally because it is a habit of the person you want to be. So the person you want to be is an award-winning bodybuilder. What would they do? What are their habits? They would go to the gym, probably first thing in the morning. And we're talking about a version of you. We're not talking about what somebody else has done. Of course, you can lean on what somebody else has done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we are talking about a version of you. So if you're looking at yourself down the road, the version of you who is an award-winning bodybuilder, what would they do? What are their habits? And if their habit is go to the gym first thing in the morning, that would be a pretty good indicator of what habit you should establish, because you're trying to be this version of you. So if you establish this habit that this version of you already has, then gradually, through consistency, you will become that version of you. Now, there are more steps, of course. I'm simplifying it. Remember, there are more steps, because once you become the bodybuilder, then you have to put yourself out there in order to and do competitions and whatever it is that bodybuilders do to win awards and whatever they do. I'm picking this example because it's an easy one to see. It's an easy one to visualize. But this also works if you're talking about being a best-selling author, okay? What would they do? They'd probably write for several hours a day, or maybe they'd research, or maybe they would I don't know. Maybe they would do whatever. But they would definitely write. That's kind of non-negotiable. But if you're like, okay, well, I already write and I'm not a best-selling author. Okay, well, what else? Because there's something that best-selling authors are doing that you're not. Maybe it's the habit of, all of these reach outs to publicists or, or publishers, not publicists, publishers, so many submissions, whatever it is. Gallery artists, same thing. Of course, you have to make art every day, but then you also have to have this habit of reaching out to galleries. There are habits that are part of the people who live how you want to live, who do the thing that you want to do. They have habits that you don't. And when you install those habits, when you make those habits a part of who you are becoming that kind of person. And of course, we are talking about a version of you, so I want you to do it your way. But I want you to do it the way you would do it. But some things are kind of non-negotiable, because if you want to be a bodybuilder, working out is non-negotiable. That's part of it. It just is. You can't, there's no way around that. If you wanted to be a best-selling author, you have to write. There's no way around that. There are things that there's just no way around. The big problem is that we can understand that. We can wrap our heads around it when it's something like a best-selling author or a bodybuilder. But what it is that, who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? What are their habits? It gets a little bit trickier, because I feel like our first instinct is like, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to work out. I don't want to write. I don't know. And one, that's kind of a cop out. And you don't have to deal with that nonsense. Your brain can say, I don't know. And you can be like, no, no, no. Oh, if I did know, what would it be? You can parcel it out if you want to. You can. You just have to ask yourself the right questions. And that's one of my superpowers, honestly. But I would need a conversation with you in order to help you parcel it out. But know that the answer that your brain gives you of, I don't know that it's not true. You can figure it out. And the way to figure that out is to clearly define who it is you want to be. What is their life like? What is their experience of life? What do they do? How do they engage with their environment, with those around them? All of that. Once you get super, super clear on who that person is, then you can get clearer on their habits. And then you can start to see what habits you need to establish that will transform you into that person day by day with consistency. Now, it starts with just going through the habit and then living the rest of your day as your normal person. And then eventually, you start to really step into that version of yourself and make decisions for the rest of the day as that version of you. And that's when things start to pick up. That's when you start to have momentum. That's when things really start to change because you're starting to live life differently. You're starting to do things differently. You're engaging with life differently because you have become a new person. The transformational habit is the path, it's the bridge from getting you where you are or living how you have been living, being the person you have been, to being who you want to be, living how you want to live, being that version of you. And it's absolutely possible because when you distill it down, we're talking about a habit. We all have habits, we all have tons of habits. We all have lots of habits that we kind of just took on by default. And some habits we've cultivated and we've really worked hard on, and we're really proud of them. You've started habits, you've dropped habits. I'm not saying any of it's easy. I'm saying you've done it and it's possible and you can do it again. And you can do it intentionally. I think the scary thing about habits is when we don't do it intentionally. When we do it intentionally, it's really empowering because then say you have all of these bodybuilder goals. This is where it gets really good. You have all of these bodybuilder goals and you've become, a bodybuilder. You start achieving these goals just naturally because you have become the kind of person who simply achieves them because that is who you are. So this takes away the need for motivation. This takes away the need for pushing yourself and like doing things that you don't want to do necessarily. I mean, there's still going to be some things. I'm sure there'll still be workouts you want to do, blah, blah, whatever. But it won't be such a struggle. You won't have so much resistance because you will have changed your identity. This is why when we set aspirational goals at the beginning of the year, and then we find ourselves at the end of the year having not accomplished them, we're like, what the crap? Am I just broken? Can I just not do stuff? Like, what in the world? Speaking from experience, when we find ourselves there and we're asking ourselves these questions, the problem is that when we set those goals, they were aspirational, which is perfect. We want our goals to be aspirational because that helps us grow, that helps us develop, that helps us become. But we set the aspirational goals and then we stay the same. We stay the same. We do the same things. We don't become the person who would achieve those goals and do those things. So, of course, when we stay the same, we're not going to accomplish the thing. We have to change. We have to shift our identity. We have to become the kind of people who would accomplish those things. That's how it works. That's truly how it works. And we think that we just need more discipline. We just need more whatever. But we're putting our discipline on the wrong things. We're putting our discipline on the accomplishment, on like, I just have to push through. I just have to get it done. I just have to whatever. Instead of putting our discipline on changing our identity, on changing who we are being. But really, that's where lasting change comes from. When we change who we are being, when we change how we show up. Because discipline, motivation, the motivation is totally fleeting. And you run out of willpower by the end of the day, but you are still you by the end of the day. So if you change who you are, you change what you do, then you change what you accomplish. That is the freaking power of a transformational habit. It starts small. It starts with just like, I'm just going to make myself do this habit. I'm just going to do this habit. And then there is this massive ripple effect because it stops being about the habit. It really does. Once that habit is so a part of you, it's just who you are, it's just what you do. It's not something you even think about anymore because it's just what you do. It's just how you live your life. It's just you being normal. But then all of the things that come from that, the changes in behavior, the changes in your actions that come from you having changed this piece of your identity is massive. Is massive. It's absolutely massive. And that's why I'm so excited about this. And I honestly just think I haven't communicated it simply enough because there's so much to it. Because not that it's hard, it's just there's a lot of mindset shifts. There's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of changing how you see things, changing how you engage with things. Maybe you still do some of the same things, but it's stepping into it differently. I remember when I first started my transformational habit, I would do something that I had done forever. It feels like forever. It's not forever. For years. So, like, I would go pick up my kids. I would go pick up my kids from school. And I've been picking up my kids from school for years. And it would be just normal Megan behavior, going to pick up her kids from school. Nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary. It's a school day. I'm picking up my kids just like I've done so many days before. But the thing that was different about it is how I engaged with it. It's like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm pick up my kids, but I am picking up my kids as this version of myself because I got up, I did, I went through my transformational habit, which was my morning ritual. I went through that and then I made this decision and this decision and this decision. And I showed up in this way and this way and this way as this version of myself. And now I'm going to pick up my kids as this version of myself too. Nobody notices that change because it all happens within me. But I notice the change. I feel the change and I feel the difference. So there's nuances like that. There's tons of stuff like that. There's things like that that will help you establish this habit and make it, not that it's going to be easy, but it's going to make it easier to establish because you're going to look at it differently. Because I'm really excited about this. Because this is like, change seems so hard. Change seems so hard. We get in these ruts. We live how we've always lived. We like to do things the way we've always done things. Change can be so hard. And I really found a way to make it easier, to make it a little bit more fun, to make it feel like I'm actually making progress on a daily basis. And this is hugely powerful. It's hugely powerful, and it doesn't have to be complicated. I went through this example of a bodybuilder, and it wasn't complicated. Honestly, it wasn't. But all of that's the outer stuff. What about what happens within you, within your body, within your brain, within your mind, with the thoughts that you're thinking to yourself? What happens there? All of that's really important too. Actually, what happens in your brain makes or breaks it all. Because if you start to engage with this, and you should start to engage with this, and your brain is already telling you that's not possible for me, I can't do it, I don't have the discipline, the commitment, the blah blah blah, whatever excuse. If your brain's already telling you it's not possible, then it's going to be supremely difficult. But you don't have to believe that it's not possible. That is an optional belief. That's where we start in the pre-work, to be honest, of the program. That's in the pre-work, but then we're going to touch more on it all throughout the weeks because your brain is going to pop up and be unhelpful, and you can rewrite the story so that it is actually helpful and supportive. So here we go. I've got the transformational habit. I'm so excited about it because it is so immensely powerful. Right now, I've got all of the pre work and week one that you can join for free. You can hop in and start in on that pre work, start making some shifts, start discovering what your transformational habit is. And that's really exciting. If that calls to you, there's a link in the show notes for you. You can go read more about it. If you scroll down to the bottom of the sales page is like my very favorite because I've got these two photos. If nothing, go look at these two photos because I've got one, man, I don't remember what year it is. One is a birthday picture. I take a picture of myself, a selfie of myself every birthday, every single birthday. And there's a picture of myself. I don't remember what year it is, but man, and is not my best shot. And then I've got a picture of me on my birthday last year, and the differences are a little startling. It's really kind of crazy to see this younger version of me looking not so great right above an older version of me looking pretty good, I must say. And of course, I've got this like comparison, of course, this background information of what I was experiencing at the time by those photos. So, if nothing else, go look at those photos because it's really interesting. The before my transformational habit and after my transformational habit, really quite incredible. So, if this calls to you, I wouldn't wait. Click on the link, join, get in on the pre work, join me for week one. There's a live call on week one. Join me for week one. We'll be together live. We'll chat about the whole thing. It'll be super fun. I'll help however I can because I totally love you. Bye for now.